He's hot. Oh,
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Talk. I hope everyone's having a great afternoon, great evening, great morning, great wherever the hell you're on the planet. I hope you're having a good time. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter wherever you. I hope you're having a good time. You could be in one of those crazy countries that we don't like, and still, I hope you're having a good time. I'm in a good mood today, even though you're not going to get something whacked up on over. I'm still in a good mood. Found out Science and Beyond made it to the finals in the podcast awards. I won't know until September 30th. People, if y'all know somebody over there, tell them vote, vote, vote for Science and Beyond. Vote for, because I don't think we don't really count in the voter stage at this point. I don't think y'all can actually go vote. It's a second wave. It's like I thought it was 5 or 10,000 people selected. People get to vote. So look, people, what do you want? I'll send you some books. Michael said he's looking for some work. I'll send Michael over to hang out with you. Hey, he could bring some ghosties.
I want Keanu Reeves' phone number.
That's right. Yes, we'll, we'll,
Podcast.
we'll hook you up with Keanu. Look, whatever it takes, y'all get over there and make sure Science Beyond wins this year. It's just another good award. I'm real happy that we're in it. I get to mention it'll be up on the website, so it's a nice thing to be in the finals. It's a nice thing to win awards too. But if you really do know something, hey, you need a radio show, I can hook you up. Okay, I'm not bribing nobody. Podcast awards. I'm just teasing. But anyway,
Congratulations.
yeah, I know. But anyway, I hope everyone really is having a good day today. And we're going to be talking about psychics today. I keep getting these emails that psychics are fraud, psychics are this, psychics are that, psychics are assholes, psychics. So instead of getting offended, I said, okay, are psychics real? Are psychics just crazy people? Well, it depends on how you want to look at this. And we're going to get into this really deep as the show goes on. But, like someone sent me a big list of things psychics have never predicted. That may or may not be true. With 9/11, I agree. Everyone that I heard predicted, I heard after the fact. So there was no way to prove if they actually predicted it or not. So that was kind of a pain in the ass. But there's other things in life, like World War II, was actually talked about prior to it happening. So was World War One. So it just depends on where you want to go with this. Now, maybe the psychics of old were better than the psychics of today. I really don't know because I didn't live back then. And if I did, it was in an incarnation. I must want to forget it or something because I don't want to go tap back into it or something like that. But I get a little aggravated with the fact because one of the things when we do abduction research at ICAR, we expect someone to possess empathic abilities at the very minimum to even be considered a real abductee or contactee. So when people tell me that psychic abilities don't exist, I get a little aggravated. And as much testing as I've done, it can't all be a fluke. I've probably tested now more than 1,500 people personally. That's not the whole organization tested more than that. And really and truly, when someone is gifted, they are gifted. And it's funny when you can start out like with the green and red card. So you flip a green, which one's which? It's in my head. I got my hand sitting on top of them. Which one's green? It's 50-50 chance. Okay. I mean, you should get it 50-50 at a time, green, red, green, red. Well, anyway, people start hitting it 60, 70, 80, 90%. They probably have something. And then you can go into like a 4 card or a 6 card. As it progresses, you can get into numbers, you can get into phrases, you can even get into paragraphs and stuff like that. And you can really see what type of gift they really have. Empaths are a little different because they either receive or send emotions or pick up or become a receiver of emotions. Some do both. That's a hard thing if you don't know what it is. I mean, come on. So you're raised in a family, probably a church-going family, but you can sense everybody's emotions in your house. Everybody can sense your emotions in your house. How do you live like that? You don't even know. All they know is when you're around, people get sad. So you're like the black sheep or something. You're like Michael and I, the black sheep or something, and the purple sheep, maybe we'll call it today, but still something along those lines. And because you don't have any idea, it's not until you maybe dabble into other things, the dark arts, or get online and search paranormal or psychics and find out what it may or may not be. Um, so then you start looking around. You may not feel as crazy as you would normally, but still, it's a hard thing to deal with. It's a hard thing to grow up with. But I'll tell y'all something. If you think you possess ability, home it because it can be a resource. I'm telling y'all, when I'm doing business with people, whether it's for the radio station or for my other business or a lot of other stuff that I'm involved in, I use them empathic abilities and I use them telepathic abilities for the simple fact that I want to know how far I can push a customer, or how far I can push a host, or how far I can push somebody who's sponsored a network for how much money. I don't want to go in, and say, okay, well, I want $50,000, and instantly you get this like red color that comes over and like, no, you'll never get that from me. But you go and you say, well, I'm looking I'm looking at these figures, and then you'll hear them start running the figures through your head, and you got them. You can go in somewhere right below what their top figure is, and you got them, and it works for me. It's personally worked really well. I'm not going to lie. I didn't realize until I was in my late 20s, but still, it worked pretty well. I can't say it works, but I got to say this too. It has got me in trouble from time to time over the years for a host of different reasons, actually. From things at the casinos. By the way, if you're psychic, don't go to a casino. I don't give a shit how good of a psychic you are. Don't go to a casino. Just don't. Because it don't matter how good you are. Most of them games are rigged. So you think you got it, and it don't come up, and you're like, what? What? No, that can't be right. And it don't again. You're like, what? Because them damn games are rigged. You can't win in them games unless they want you to win. Or yeah, it's a weird random thing. But things like that are strange. But anyway, we have Laura Lee Poffin with us tonight from the Angel Rockers, and she'll be on again later on this evening on her show. And you have Michael Angley with us tonight. He'll be on Discover Your Paranormal tomorrow. Actually, he that's right. He's opening show tomorrow night, huh? Oh yeah, he's always okay. Yeah, because Dell's the Delicious Dell's been moved to Thursdays now. He'll be opening for Michael and Michelle on Thursdays now. So he's the opening show, and
Keep shuffling them around, man.
jump,
What are we
jump,
gonna
jump,
do?
jump. It's like cards, man. It's like cards. What you mean? You've been in the same two spots for I can't even remember how long.
I've been in
I
the
got.
same two spots from the day one, I guess. Man.
I'm pretty sure you have been. You've been for quite a long
Well, I used to
time.
be on Saturday before you and
Oh
Stephanie,
yeah,
then,
but when stuff's
and
right,
then
we
you
moved
guys
there.
would carry me into your show, and it'd be the three of us.
Yeah, because it was a nice format. I forgot about that. That was
That
a
was
nice format.
perfect. It was great.
That was a
Yeah,
great lineup on those shows. It was a good show. People sometimes things are great, but sometimes people go crazy, and there's just nothing you can do about it. It's just one of them
well,
things.
they end up here. Is what
They get
happens.
into crazy is what they do. It's in them crazier. The crazy people kind of stay away from us for the most part. We get
Crazy
semi.
works. We have crazy people that leave you alone, unless the other ones are crazy too.
But I tell you what seems to work a lot on. I was looking at some of the winners on some of these shows, and there's let's just say a lot of interchange between the host and the guest. Not stuff you would normally see on an everyday podcast. You would with me because I can't help myself. I'm an ass by nature. Still, I got to say this too while I'm thinking about this. So, I've been getting some complaints about I've been being too nice, too nice, too nice. The other night, I was listening to a show I did on the 14th in 2014, right? So I'm listening to the show going, how in the hell? I don't even know how I got to stay on the air, people. I really don't. That's just mean as shit. Man, I was like, damn, no wonder they say I've calmed down. I guess it's true what they say you mellow with age. Actually, some of the stuff that, I was more convicted about now has been taken care of. So, and things that I was bitching about then have actually been fixed. It's like, it's rough when they fix all the stuff you're griping about. But don't worry, we still, and on another side note, and this was why we'll have to probably be doing the Centrals for a little while on Wednesday. Someone sent me a clip of the president of the United States. It wasn't an American, by the way. Sent me a clip of him in his tan suit talking about how many vaccinated people are in the United States. And he kept saying 350 million. And then he got the paper and read 350 million people. There ain't even 350 million people in the country. I'm like, dude.
Maybe he was talking about India.
I don't know what he was talking about. So
Properties that are around.
I don't know if the woman was like a Pakistani, whatever she was. She did this clip on it. And she did put a really good piece together. And last thing she says is, she said, "I feel for you Americans." I was like, "Shit, man, you ain't supposed to be saying that."
What's
Like,
with the tan suit, man? I mean,
that's because Obama wore one time, and the Republicans screamed at him for 3 days because he wore a tan suit. I never did figure out what the big deal was about the tan suit. I mean, come on, whatever color suit you want to wear is
It's
what
a
it's
summer suit.
and it's hot, man. I blame me. If I was him, I'd go
I bet
jacket with
that
it.
suit's from like 1950.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
It's got old pedophilia extraordinaire
I
on it
know,
from
huh?
the 50s.
Oh, so did y'all see that clip? So he's in a tan suit. Little girl's doing her stuff. He's all like, "This is okay." Let me see. I gotta see this. This is the girl's head, and she's got a book down here, right? And this is Biden. I mean, you could actually see he was sniffing. I was like, "Get the man!" And I don't even know how it made it to the media because the media usually protects him from that kind of stuff. And look, at some point we have to have a vote of no confidence in this guy. But that's not tonight's show. That's going to be coming up on the next Centralist show. But really, we're going to get in that very deep. Whoever shows up on that show on that Friday, we're going to get into this very deep about a vote of no confidence because it's a little. It's at this point,
We could
I don't
do
give a care
both.
what party he is. He's starting to scare me.
But
We
they're
could
doing
do both.
paranormal tonight, aren't we?
But we are. So getting back to what we were talking about
We
psychics,
don't want to chase
obviously.
away our
So
paranormal peeps.
this is another thing that aggravates me about psychics. So this is one of the people that were griping at me about. Okay, so none of the psychics predicted Joe Biden and his well his we'll just say they didn't predict how he was going to be. As far as him winning or losing, that wasn't a big prediction, but the state of is what he is right now is somebody should have known this, years ago. This shouldn't just be awakening us right now. And so that was next thing there was who predicted COVID? Who was the first one to predict COVID a prior writing or a prior saying to COVID?
Me.
So no, you got to be, but it's got to be from Wuhan. It's got to be named COVID. It's got to be the whole thing, not just a vaccine or a virus that went rampage. Because we all know sooner or later that's going to happen. That don't
You
count.
only consider people psychic that can tell you the future. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's what they're. But I'm not saying anything.
I'll say
happened.
this, and maybe you guys will agree with me. I don't know. There was a 13-year countdown for me. There was a countdown in my heart and my mind, and it counted all the way down to 2020. And you know what? And I would tell people over the years. I mean, we got 7 years until the world changes. Baba Vanya, psychics like that. If you read what she had said, that Europe would never be the same, the Americas would never be the same, that something was going to happen. She saw Trump, fall, like going down, that he was going to be blamed for something that was out of his control, and also he was going to suffer from some kind of illness that he wasn't going to recover from, or there was going to be an illness. I'll tell you, man, there are psychics, but maybe they're not so accurate where they're going to tell you exactly.
I don't think the future is written in stone. Like, Michael, I have to agree with you. I think you're fairly intuitive. I think Joe is. I think we all are. I've had this argument with Joe before. And I think when you see babies and you see small children, same as animals, they can see spirit. They can see all kinds of things. Are they psychic? I'm not, no. But I think that it all falls under the same realm. And for me, like, I'll tell you right now, when I do readings, I rarely tell people what's coming in the future because I believe in that there's multiple timelines and not everything's written in stone. Some things are. I don't think everything is.
I think that if you're a great medium, psychic medium, that you're going to have a head for what's happening, and you're going to be pretty damn accurate. Because I've had some that were 100%, man. This guy David, he looked at me, and then we're doing this reading, right? He looked at me and he smiled, and he said, "Your car's going to break down." And it's going to break down. And you're going to have it towed. He was laughing because he knew I could fix my own car, and he knew I was kind of proud of, doing all that. And he said 666. He's like, and the word dowdy is coming up, and I'm like, dowdy meant nothing to me, right? So okay, that was December 31st. I used to go see him, on New Year's Eve during the day for a yearly reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
June 6th, 6/6. My car blew its gas pump, gasoline all over the motor, man. I couldn't do anything with it. I had to have it towed. What was the name of the street that it was on? Dowdy Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And that's pretty damn amazing when you run into a psychic that has that kind of ability.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them don't. A lot of them just get the feeling, right? I mean, you can't really hone in on certain things. So,
well, I mean, there's different. I guess there's different levels of being a telepath.
Well, like Miss Cleo. Remember, hi, Miss Cleo. Your husband's cheating on you. Girl would be like, "Oh, I'm going to kill him when he gets home." "Oh, he ain't just cheating. He's laughing at you right now. I can see him in my third eye." And then she was a big scam artist, right? And she went to jail for fraud and all the other stuff. I mean, she's dead now. But
I mean, most of the famous ones in recent times really never produced anything great. I mean, they were good at what
except Colonel Sanders. He saw a lot of dead chickens.
He did, but
he was.
But he made it happen. See, that's the difference. He made it happen.
He created the reality.
He created his own future.
That's right. He created his own.
I always say, I think people have different gifts in different areas. Just like Some people are natural born mathematicians. Some people are natural born leaders or athletes, whatever it is. Could I predict? Could I predict the future? I never sat down and accurately said what's going to. Well, some of the things actually I have said. I've said what's going to happen in September and October. I haven't said it on air. We'll see if it happens. You want me to write it down? I'll write it down. And has somebody told me this? No. I'm working with two other psychic mediums. We work with spirit on the other side to. We've gotten some names that we had no clue who these names were. And I can tell you right now, when we looked them up, we just about fell off our seats when we found out who they were and what they were connected with. Now, I know what Joe's going to say. Well, you could have heard that. You could have heard it in passing. You could have heard it. I'm just telling you.
It's bleed through.
Yep. It could be.
It's not even that one thing I learned about the subconscious, I took a couple of courses on it early in my life. And one thing I learned early on is your brain can do really some amazing things with stuff. Mm-hmm. So it can take bits and pieces of stuff that you would never think would go together with
I already knew you were going to say that.
No, but I'm not even talking about what you were talking about. I'm just, it's amazing the things, because, one of the first things we learned in facial recognition is the brain can't see, it can't dream about a face it's never seen.
Okay, so how do they prove this? I want to know that because I don't agree with that. I'm sorry.
Well, the reason why is because what people don't realize is, okay, there's an infinite number of faces when you like the three of our faces.
So how do they prove it? It's just like the old myth that used to be that if you're dreaming your phone.
Well, actually, there was three different colleges.
When you're dreaming,
there was three different colleges that did it, and it was peer reviewed.
I don't believe it.
So they pretty much proved that. But what you don't understand about is it doesn't really matter, because just the three of our faces combined, you could make 500,000, 250,000, 3 million faces.
I say that unprovable research study. I'm sorry, but it is.
No, because they proved it because of other things that we do out of habit.
Nope.
Like when we look at clouds, or when we look at fires, or when we look at smoke, we always see faces, and the faces aren't really there.
That's
but we make that. But we make those faces, and those faces are almost always something recognizable out of history.
Yeah, but that comes from our DNA, man. When we were just creatures, and basically you're out in the woods and something comes running at you, you have the ability to recognize the face.
That's not what it is. It comes from your subconscious. Your brain can't help itself. But it doesn't matter if you agree. It's not science. Science already proves what it is.
Bleed through.
Yeah. Apply it. Science proves that it's your brain just making stuff up as it goes along.
There is no way to prove that.
Yeah, actually, there is. There have been several big science studies done on this over the years. There have been studies done on people under hypnosis. There have been people on different sleep.
Well, look at facial recognition software in general. I mean,
and by the way, that's what facial recognition software is based on.
Doesn't work well with masks on.
So, in other words, facial recognition can't. Actually, it does work pretty good. Mask will come to find out.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work at all.
You're wearing a Jack the Ripper face mask.
Before I had the job that I have
now, the bridge of the nose and the eyes and the mouth open, it can actually make a face.
Before I had the job that I have now, I was hired out in Las Vegas to help them implement their artificial intelligent facial recognition software systems as a security specialist. And then the problem is they killed the program because of COVID-19 and people wearing masks. And I already found two different ways to fool the software. And it's a 9-point software. 9 points on your face, right? It's called pyramid software. You can look it up. I found a few different ways of just kind of walking through and just kind of touching your glasses or touching the middle of your nose. You can obscure your face in any which way. But some people took a little picture of themselves and put it even on top of their glasses, to walk through these systems, and they fooled the system. So anyway, I don't know. That I'm just adding that in there.
That must be a crappy system.
No, this is the best. It's top of the line. It's the best.
First off,
believe it or not, it all comes from India, which is kind of
funny.
Right now,
they're using. Give you a shout out, but
you can get if you can see the color of your eyes, the frame of your eyes, the bridge of your nose, and the size of your mouth, you can come up with a face.
How does that work in China, man? How does that work?
Doesn't mean you've seen it before, Joe.
You have a lot of civilizations where people look very similar.
Let me ask you something, Laura Lee. How many faces do you think you've seen since you've been born?
Probably thousands.
More like millions.
Why?
You got to take into consideration all the people just flowing by. Just people flowing by you. That's faces you see. That's always faces you see.
Live in a big city.
Doesn't matter. You're on the internet.
No, she's in Canada, man. She must use
watch television. You're on the
Sasquatch.
internet.
You know what I mean? Maybe you're in a car and a Sasquatch passes by. You see that?
I'm going to start seeing Sasquatch everywhere. It's going to be dimensional bleed through.
Actually,
Up in the woods,
it'll
we
probably be the
see
Sasquatch that you're seeing on
Sasquatch.
That's
TV.
where Adele came from, man. He's baby Sasquatch. We know. We know. You can't fool us.
Joe, I'm saying it isn't knowing what I know from research, and I have trained in how to do research and stuff when I went to university. This isn't unprovable. It can be a theory.
It's
It can
not.
be
It's been proven for a long time. It's not unprovable. You can go look it up for yourself. You don't even have to take me on my word.
I've heard
You will never. You will never dream about a face you have never
not
seen
agree
ever.
with it.
Your brain does not work that way. It's not wired that way. And it
I don't know. I
not do
wake
that.
up saying names
I'm
I never
sorry,
heard
with
before, and I write them
7.2
down.
billion
but you can put
people
them
on
together.
the earth, they don't know how every human being's brain works. They don't.
They don't have to know how everybody human brain works. Well,
Joe,
all we need to know is how that little section of
respect,
the brain works, and that's all we're worried about.
do you respect
Not
the
even close.
Navajo? Do you respect the Navajo, Joe?
Not really.
Really? You don't have any respect for the Navajo? They're going to come after you now. They
they
get
ain't
some
gonna come
arrows headed towards you. But in Navajo
Because I'm
teaching,
Cherokee, they ain't gonna come after me.
in
They scared.
Navajo teaching, a lot of Native American teaching, the five senses are the five fingers of your hand, right? And then those are the ones you can talk to. Those are the ones that we're living in this reality. The spaces in between are the subconscious. And then if you're going to talk to the five fingers, you also have to talk to the subconscious, you know? So it really comes down to our connections with each other, the universe, our third eye. You can argue that we have a third eye. I know, of course, we all have the pineal gland. Most animals have a pineal gland. People can communicate with their animals. They communicate back. You know, I know a guy that's got a bunch of bears, a couple of hours away from me, a sanctuary, right? If you watch his videos and you see this guy with these bears, they're talking to each other through their spirit, man. You know, it's beautiful. But is it bleed through? No. Is it Miss Cleo? No. You know, is it explainable on our level? We're just humans. You know
Michael,
what I mean?
I can tell you, I have a friend. My dog went out with my mother-in-law. We went out last summer to the cabin. Her dog hates other dogs. My dog never barked before. When we came back, she hated the dog next door. They were puppies that grew up together. We couldn't figure out what was wrong. He wasn't even close to my dog, and he told me what was wrong. He knew what was going on next door. I never told him a thing. And then he told me what I could do to fix it. It was fixed within 30 seconds.
Wow.
How did
There was
you
this woman on Animal Planet. I don't remember her name. Maybe Sylvia something. And she would like talk to animals. She would go in there and heal, you know, go into homes where there was issues.
There's a documentary. I think you're talking. Was that the girl from France? Because there's one from South Africa, and they've done a documentary on her.
No, she's from the U.S. Blonde hair, real thin, blonde hair. A long time ago. Man, what was it?
I'm trying to find it. Hang on, I'll find it for you. It's possible. Like I said, just because we don't do it or we don't know, I just don't think that there's a way to prove inside everybody's brain that
there's lots of studies on this. You don't have to take anybody at their word. There are literally, when I say lots, there are like 40 or 50 studies on this. So it's all about the one little section in your brain and how it actually works. And it works the same in everybody's brain, or else there's something seriously wrong with you and you're probably locked up in a nut ward somewhere. It's like people don't realize that you can't live without REM sleep. People tell me all the time, well, I never dream. Well, that's a lie.
Definitely not Sylvia Brown.
Yeah,
Sylvia Brown. See now,
if you don't get at least 4 hours of REM sleep every night, you will go batshit crazy in no time at all.
Sylvia Brown was the one. She's not. That's not the one. I don't like her at all, man. Sonia Fitzpatrick. Here we go.
Wait. Y'all both talking at the same time. What did you say, Laura? I heard what you said. Sonia Fitzpatrick. What did you say, Laura?
I was saying the lady from South Africa, she actually lived in the U.S. and lived in corporate U.S. Her name is Anna Breitenbach. If you can look it up, it's on YouTube. It's an amazing documentary. And there's a bunch of people that are skeptics. Like she'll just walk into like baboons. Baboons are going after all the people. You've got the male that's really aggressive.
Talking about New York City?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what's happening.
That's about what is happening there.
No, the way she
COVID baboons at that.
She was asked to go to a guy that had a big cat sanctuary in South Africa, and there was one cat they couldn't do anything with, and he didn't believe in any of this, but they were at their wits' end, so his wife talked him into it. And when this Anna came in there, she didn't know who she was seeing. She didn't know whatever. She walked in, and this cat started telling her about the 2 cubs that he had left behind at the previous zoo. And none of them knew about it. And when the owners checked it out, there really were the 2 cubs. This was part of his behavior problem. So I really do believe humans can communicate with animals. I do. I think we've got psychic ability, all of us.
Yeah, I think that everybody has some kind of level of sensitivity.
Whether
You
it's
know, I
your
mean,
gut, I trust my gut, or your intuition, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
we've discovered this in our investigations time and time again.
Mhm.
And then a lot of times people, when people, when they live in a house or a business that's active and there's this spiritual activity going on there,
Mhm.
and they want answers, they have to have some kind of sensitivity to know that, because there are people who are closed off who just would ignore it, or they won't believe it, or they're so tightly wrapped
Mm,
they can't, or their religion won't let them. The
I can
Muslims and the
prove
Christians.
categorically beyond any reasonable doubt that most people have no abilities whatsoever.
There we
most
go
most
again.
most
It's easy to
religions
prove. It doesn't even take a scientific study to prove it. If you want to know the
most
truth, go get 50 people, get one quarter, and start flipping it.
Joe, you
If
were
they
talking about
can't
sending
get,
me a hooker, man. She better
I'm
have
telling you,
abilities.
if they can't
You
get
know
at
what I mean?
least 50-50 right, they have no abilities at all. None at all.
You got
And
my
you'll find out
address?
the average person, when you flip a quarter that many times, will get less than 40% right. So they ain't got no kind of gift. They just guessing.
With
We've done.
me,
Icar's
I'll
done
tell you
lots of
this.
these studies on this over the
I don't
years.
paint myself as some psychic medium, whatever, but I see things, and I have
Michael, I think you're
premonitions.
very intuitive. I
I,
do.
I, I have premonitions. I feel like something is going to happen. It happens, and I kind of I don't know. I kind of, what, in Taoism, Lao Tzu said, the knowing the future is like a very thin veil in front of you, right? And it's a very interesting concept to think about that, on what we feel, the feeling. And just recently on my show I talked about this, remote viewing. I was talking about that, and whatever. But the third eye, I was mainly talking about the third eye. Once you start cleansing the third eye, and of course things like fluoride destroy it, and calcify it. So there's things in our environment that you want to, be able to uncalcify your third eye and use it. But one time I was with my ex's kid. He was in the back seat. He was pretty young. We're driving to the mall, and just go to the store and get some stuff. Something told me to slow down and stop on this 45-mile-an-hour road, probably going a little more than 50. Something told me, and it wouldn't just tell me. It was like squealing in my ears, like if you open up your sunroof and that squealing sound. I stopped, and like 7 deer ran in front of me, like just like that, and I would have plowed right into all of them, man. So I believe in these things, and I didn't stop for no reason. I mean, so when
See,
it comes to
you're
that,
making my argument for me. Do you know
but
how many
it's a
people
rhythm.
plow into deer every year in this country?
It's a rhythm though, and I wouldn't have stopped otherwise. There would have been no reason for me to stop there
I
on that
know,
dark
but that's
road.
my point. So you're one out of 1 million people that ran into something this year that paid attention or
Are you
even
saying
had
I'm
some thought.
special, Joe? Thank you.
You are
Is that why
special.
you're sending me a hooker? That's so
You
sweet,
are
man.
special. We're not going to get into how you're
You got
special,
my
but
room
you are
number?
special. But the point being is the average human
I'm
on
just
this
kidding about the
planet is a
hooker.
moron and has no gifts at all. And you can tell
Joe's
just by the way they live their life.
Joe's actually
It
sending me
doesn't take
hooker headers.
rocket
Hook,
science. Sorry.
hooker headers, man.
Some of
Remember
them are
cars with
morons
hooker
too.
headers? Remember we used to like work our cars? No computer, no nothing. I have to just have a guy rant right there, man. You could just go work
Yeah, you get your
work it to the
Chiltons out,
balls.
man, and just go through your car, fix it up. Now you go get your
Put
Chiltons on. Now it's even better. You just go to YouTube and everybody's done it for you. You just
put
watch the
glass
video.
packs on that sucker, man. No catalytic
Yeah,
converters. No cell phone. You put
no
your radio
camera.
on, you cruise, nothing cuts in as you're driving down the
That's
road.
right. There was no cell phones at all. And they wasn't
I
even
miss
pages
those
back
days.
then.
Answer machine, that was it.
And there was only one psychic medium too back then. That was it.
Miss Cleo.
No, it wasn't Miss Cleo.
Your husband's cheating on
It was
you.
no man. It was I can't remember his name now. But anyway, he was another
He's
geek.
stealing your money. She's like, what?
But it's an easy thing to look to when we talk about psychics and clairvoyance and stuff like that. All you got to do is look through history. So currently on the planet, there is 7.5 billion people, and out of that 7.5 billion, 7.325 billion are complete morons running in shit, breaking their cars up, getting robbed, getting beat up, getting raped, getting destroyed, doing just absolute stupid shit because they don't even common sense, much less psychic abilities. Look, I'm just using the sheer vast numbers of idiots as evidence. I mean, if we talked about the whole mass planet had psychic abilities, one, we'd be a better planet because we'd be more in tune with each other. But we're not in tune with each other. Most of the time, we don't even know the hell what our neighbors even doing. It's just not. It's like a world I'd like to live in, maybe, but not in this one, not for a long time. And something else. I can't bring that out tonight. Something coming out on UFO Undercover in a couple weeks. It might come out coast to coast. I haven't made it my mind yet. Something that the blood type study taught us just recently through. We were talking with some hematologists about this, and yeah, oh man, I can't talk about it tonight though. Oh man, it's going to change this whole topic we're talking about right now, though. And it's a little weird too. Some of the people who
It's
turned
like
out to be
come
that.
from RH negative.
No, yeah, it's weird. No, it's just weird. It's they were talking about
Mitochondrial
when the
DNA.
leadership they were talking about when the leadership of the world changed and how it changed, and who was in charge at the time. Only thing I don't understand, I guess when you go dig up bones, you can find out what blood type somebody is.
You want to hear something
I didn't
crazy?
know that.
I am just where am I? I'm about a mile from the site called Spanish Hill, where they found these giant skeletons in Pennsylvania. And they were putting in the road, so they dug into the hill and they found skeletons 14 feet tall and all that. Then they had the chief archaeologist from the state, which was actually in Pittsburgh. He came and certified the bones. He said they were bones, whatever. They shipped them off to the University of Philadelphia, where they disappeared,
They
gone.
always do.
And the family up on top of that hill, they grow Christmas trees and what. If you go around there, they tell you to get the F out of there, man. I mean, the guy will walk out with a shotgun and chase you away. It's
Yeah.
very strange, But
Don't come hanging out where the giants
but
live.
what's interesting? It happens to overlook the Susquehanna River, and it happens to. So I mean, a lot of Native Americans put their burial grounds overlooking waterways and whatever. But this is different, man. And so when people reference Bigfoot to me, I often think of these giants. I often think of, and then they dig sites around the world. They found these skeletons. Yeah, some were
Sardinia.
phony. Some were phony. The
But
woman
how
at
many?
the local museum will tell you it was a hoax. But why would it? So you mean to tell me?
But even if it's real, even if it's 100% real, how many? Because if you dig around the world today, you can literally find millions and millions.
They found dozens of these tall skeletons, because there's a whole burial mound. But how could it be a hoax when you have?
I don't think it's a hoax. I don't know what it was. I don't think it's a
the
hoax.
chief archaeologist came out and identified them as bones. I mean,
because there's stories in the ancient worlds of giants. I don't really think it's a hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
This
it.
is.
I just wonder if it was a different species or if it was just a fluke. Because we got these guys that get 11. What's the record right now? 11.9 or something. So we get those guys that every now and then you get just a freak that gets really really tall.
The smaller ones were 9 to 11 feet. The taller ones were up to 14. They say smaller ones were female.
See, I would think that was an offshoot of a species or something else that came to visit. It's
They
hard
look
to say which
completely
one.
human. The ones in Sardinia that we watched a documentary, and my moderator for my paranormal group was from Sardinia. And what happened, same thing, Michael, they dig up the bones, these giant tombs, molars, 5 times the size of humans, looks like a human skull, 5-6 times the size, same type of height. And Sardinia is in Italy, obviously off of the coast.
It's an island.
So there's no, you can only get there by boat or plane. That was from my friend that lives there. And same thing, as soon as they're dug up, they disappear. It's now illegal to go near the tombs. It's now illegal to go anywhere near it. But
what's the skin off their jib? Why make them disappear?
Well, only way you'd make them disappear is if they were an alien. If they were an offshoot of our species or some other weird, like those ones down in South America with the different brains that we have, different heads that we have.
Yeah.
They don't make them disappear. Those are actually still alive even today. So that's some weird offshoot of humans. Just like they think there's been other offshoots of humans, which we just happen to be one of.
It's like there's a force that keeps us down. I was thinking about that on Facebook.
Well, maybe we're the prison planet, like they say we are.
I put an article up about these Hasidic girls that got kicked off the airplane, because they didn't want to do the rules. They want to do the mask and all that, right? And so here's the rabbi saying, anti-Semitism, how dare you? Whatever, man. And when it comes to like people, it's just kind of funny that Facebook made it so nobody could see that article. So they're in control of what I say. They're in control of my page, and bad enough. Oh man, they'll suspend you for days for some dumb stuff. Pictures of Joe Biden sniffing kids. They don't like that either, man. So, but don't you think
they
that?
don't never give me? I got 14 pages. They never give me shit about. And not just mine. I got all y'all posting on, and they still don't give me shit.
Because they're afraid of you. They know that you'll seek them out. That dude knows you'll come to Hawaii, man, and seek them out.
Come have lunch. That's right. He knows. I will bring a couple of alligators.
Zuckerberg will be out there surfing with the aliens, man.
Actually, he comes down here. Well, I get no, anyway. I had to make sure I didn't get somebody in trouble for this. He comes down here. They bought one of the salt domes, and in case y'all know, Louisiana is these huge salt domes that you put whole freaking cities in if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are massive. The Army owns one. They keep big jets down there. That's where they bought Bush when they thought he was going. You could be a nuke could blow up right on top, wouldn't even phase him. He owns a private one down here that he comes to from time to time. Him and his old lady. I don't know where, and I could probably find out, but I imagine if I showed up out there as press, it would really give me some shit. That's not you. You say that, but I have Google shit, Google Earth that shows up from sometimes, man. You'd be surprised some of the shit you can find on Google
People
Earth.
find UFOs on Google Earth that are
Now,
buried in
if
the
y'all
ice.
go to Google Mars,
South,
I marked one.
South Pole.
UFO slid in when I found it. The very first, been up there for a long time. It's still up there. Last I heard, you just go to Mars. Just go to Mars. Look for UFOs. I think I marked it as something 9 slid in or something. I can find it.
These guys found one in the South Pole, man, sitting there in ice, and you can see where it went in. You can see where it's still stuck in the ice, but nobody can get there. It's like inaccessible or whatever. So no one's even. You know what's funny? No one's really allowed to go to the South Pole, but every major leader has been there. Even the Pope has been to the South Pole, and it's just kind of weird. Like
you can go, just don't go around.
It's not even a place I'd want to go. Me personally, I don't even want to go to Florida, let alone the South Pole. You know what I mean? Like just me personally, South Pole. It's an arduous journey. It's a terrible environment, But for the Pope to go there, that's bizarre. But there's a lot of tales and a lot of mystery around that South Pole in there.
Yeah, well, you can go. They'll let you go down there. You just can't go anywhere around the facility.
No, it's all military, man. You got
just a chunk of it is.
There ain't no Best Western sitting there.
There ain't nothing down there. That's what I'm saying. You can go. You just got to go on your own, and you got to go way away from where the base is.
South Pole Super 8.
And don't think that little thing you always see on TV is the base, because that's BS. That ain't the base. But it ain't far from there either.
I hear there's Nazis under the ice.
I hear there's Nazis under the moon.
There's a lot of stories though about that. And if you listen to Admiral Byrd about those little discs that came out and destroyed his fleet and airplanes, I don't know. There's a lot going on.
I had Dan Willis on. He used to come on every month. He's been so busy. He testified at the New York Press Club. It's supposed to be one of the biggest world events. All these scientists, there's over 20 of them. You know about this, Joe, because I talked to you about it a lot. This is May 6, 2002, and the press made a joke out of it. But when he was with the Navy, he was down in Antarctica, and he was testifying to what he saw off of when he was on the ship. Like on a naval ship, not a UFO ship, obviously.
Well, if I had $1 for every Navy guy said I saw a UFO, I could have freaking retired a decade ago.
There's a lot more to it than that.
No, that's not what I mean. No. These guys, I'm being serious. These guys aren't bullshitting. These guys actually saw something. It depends which ship you're on. So usually if you're running a flagship or one of the bigger fleets where they break off from time to time, those are the ones that are almost always going to see something, because they're always in the places where you might actually see something. And then like the ones that were doing the Bikini Atolls, when America was toasting nuclear bombs after the war in the Bikini Islands, we were sinking ships, sinking fleets, exposing our people to radiation and shit like that. On almost multiple occasions, there were UFO sighted. There was one right over the island when they detonated an airburst. Most people don't realize when you talk to them about a nuke, they think it hits the ground, but it doesn't. Actually detonates in the air, usually about 100 feet above the ground level. It detonates, and that's why sometimes you'll see just a little place underneath it left standing, and everything else is flattened out because it's an airburst. But they were showing those, and they were showing the effects of ships and how it would melt ships. The ships would stay afloat because it would melt them just completely closed, so there's no water could get into them. It was very weird shit. But those people, of course, were in places where ET might be interested, or on one of the more advanced pieces of equipment we have where they might be interested in seeing that. So they did. A lot of Navy pilots, a lot of Navy guys told me a lot of stuff.
Toys, probably, man.
I don't know. They said they've seen a lot of stuff. And when I talked to Air Force, I had several friends in the Air Force. You never heard about ground crews much in the Air Force hearing about stuff, but you hear about crews in flight all the time.
Well, yeah, but airline pilots and all that, it's very common. In fact, they never used to report them because they would get, get in trouble. They'd lose their jobs, or they wouldn't get to fly, And
that was a problem, because in the military, you're required to report them. Now, you can't talk about them, but you're required to report them.
Well, look at that guy that was hired. He was into topography, right? And then they hired him to map something out. And initially he thought it was NASA, but it was really the NSA. And that's like their first inception back in the 60s. So he ended up mapping out the surface of the moon. And he said that on the dark side of the moon, there's all these alien bases and all this stuff going on. And he was sworn to secrecy. But the agent that was talking to him was talking very liberally, like, hey, you wouldn't believe what we found over here. And then, and this guy's out there. He's still alive, and he's out there.
There's lots of people said they saw shit on the dark side of the moon.
But he swears up and down that he saw this. So I mean, but you know what? The problem is you have to either believe in it or not. If it just comes from someone's words without really seeing pictures.
The lady I'm having on tonight, her name's Constance Victoria Briggs. She's talking about a new book, The Encyclopedia of Moon Mysteries, UFO Experiences, and Aliens. Pretty timely discussion. She's written quite a few books like that, Encyclopedia of Angels, Encyclopedia of a lot of stuff. So we'll see what she's got to say tonight.
The dark side of the moon is very mysterious, but isn't it funny that other countries have gone there and they haven't reported anything back? Russia, China, all that.
There's now 7 countries. That's how the poor moon, the moon people said we didn't.
Have you ever heard of the Celestial Club?
I've heard a lot of different clubs.
I just made it up, actually. But to me, the Celestial Club is that group of countries that gets privy to this other information, that there's something bigger, better, badder than you, so you keep your mouth shut. And they, China won't even tell you how many dead they have from COVID, let alone if they found a base on the moon. And they would certainly exploit it for their own means. They'd want to explore it to look for technology to exploit it for their own means. And so if they say, all right, this base is off limits, you try going near it, we're going to destroy you. And that's just that simple. I believe that there's that hierarchy that goes up and down, and so I know this guy who's a Navajo chief, and I'm going to meet with him when I go out west. And I've been kind of postponing it with all this COVID stuff going on, but he says that he can call them, like he thinks of them, these ET, and they show up. So I said, "Will you do that when I'm there?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I'll bring whiskey." You know what I mean? It's like,
Bring the good shit. Don't bring the cheap shit.
Yeah, but this guy's the real deal, though. He's not just some dumbass, because there's a lot of dumbasses out there. This isn't one of them, and he's like, he's their big leader. So, but he said to them it's very common. There's a union between them. They're the ant people, man. They're the people who saved those nations at one time from cataclysm. So I don't know. Very interesting stuff, and I can't wait to get there. I'm waiting for COVID, and I'm waiting for the hot weather out there to calm down, where it's not 117 degrees. I'm not made for 117.
There's a lot of the other day we were on. We was running some content outside of a building.
How hot is it where you are, Joe? It's hot down there right now, right?
Well, the regular temperature was in the mid 90s, but what it feels like was around 122, 123.
It's so humid. It's like someone took a hot, wet
blanket.
It wasn't
even windy. Usually it's a freaking breeze. It wasn't even a breeze. Yeah, and it does. You feel like you're in an oven. It's weird.
Literally, it's like 50 out.
No, actually.
Not even hot up there where they are, too.
Live right now without the humidex. It's probably starting to cool off a little bit now.
Today was 90 here. Just hit 90, but it's been actually not bad.
It was cool on the weekend, though. You're right. But actually in July we had 15 millimeters of rain, which is basically, I was telling my youngest kid, that's like about 25 raindrops. We had no rain. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've been 3 months without a day of not raining.
We're on the downturn.
Now we've been a week, so
you had so much rain down there. I don't know what the hell you do with it.
Yeah, well, you
got to ship it out to Arizona.
Sometimes I look it up online. It says we get 50 inches. Sometimes it says 64. Sometimes it's 73. I'm like, who the hell's doing a measurement down here? Well, when we raise down here, it says we usually get between 62 and 68 inches of rain every year, and sometimes a little more depending on. And there are years where we might top 100 because we get 2 or 3 hurricanes back to back. When we get that, we get 20 inches overnight and shit, 24 inches overnight. Everybody's like, "Ooh, look, the house is sliding down the road." That's why we build houses on poles.
Yeah, but they said that with the wobble of the moon, it's going to cause more
2030
and whatnot.
That's supposed to happen in 2030. We'll see.
I
don't know why it happened now, but it's going to be 2030 for it.
Look at California right now, dude. Over 100 and real dry. You got those heavy winds. The fires are out of control.
Ours are really bad in Canada right now. Like the sky's usually full of smoke. You can smell it. I was talking to my friend in Alberta. It's really, really, really bad.
We had your smoke.
Kind of red sludge for some reason.
Yeah, we had your smoke not long ago. It stinks too, doesn't it? It doesn't smell like smoke.
It's disgusting.
It has like a funky. It's like a funky. I don't know. It's a real funky odor.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wait for somebody just wrote in on Messenger. Look, Christian, you know what I'll do? I got to do a couple of science to be honest between now and September. I'll do we'll do one on sleep itself. Not just dreams, but on the way the mind works once asleep, how active, what you see, how it also reacts to outside stimuli. Most people don't realize it. Especially younger people have no idea how much outside stimulus can be brought into your dreams. I used to incorporate all the time alarms going off, people talking. You'd be amazed how much you can hear someone talking when you're asleep.
So what about if you get stoned before you go to sleep, and you wake up to pee and you get stoned again?
Yeah, but
What
still,
about that?
you're still going to hear something. Your brain
Does
will
that? But does
pick
that
it up.
interfere with your REM state? Does
It
that
actually
interfere?
it interferes with you remembering your REM state. It don't
So
actually interfere with the REM state
what
itself.
about
It might
people?
even change it some, but
So you
you won't
say that it
remember it.
messes memory. I've never experienced that in my life, man. But it really,
Well,
I mean, maybe with some people, but some people, they can't remember things anyway. I don't think weed helps them. You know what I mean? But since it's being legalized everywhere,
it's
it's kind
mainly
of
your
interesting.
short-term memory that weed screws with. It's not your
Like in New
long-term
York,
memory.
they legalized marijuana. You can't get fired for smoking marijuana, unless you're like a cab driver or
What's funny to me, you can smoke a joint and
conductor.
forget where you put something today, and then 3 days later you'll remember where it
Well,
is.
dudes in the city are blowing pot
That's
smoke
stupid
in
things.
cops' faces. Like cops are fuming that they can't do anything.
Don't
'Cause
do that in New Orleans; they will
you
arrest you
can
for
you
that.
can smoke marijuana anywhere. You can smoke a cigarette in New York.
They'll,
That's kind of interesting.
technically, you can do that in California and Nevada. I mean, in Colorado too, but I noticed they don't do it a lot.
You can't have a shot of whiskey on the street though. That's on
I did
the
notice though when I
or
was
drink a
out
beer. There's open container laws.
filming with Prometheus. I realized I left the hotel and I was going to get a ride, and then I realized the store's like 2 blocks up, so I decided to walk up to the store. So they got these little alleyways cut in between the hotels and the restaurants and stuff. Everyone I passed reeked like marijuana.
Mm.
Everyone. So I guess the help was coming outside and hitting their vape and then going back inside, which is legal there. The only one they got in trouble for was Walmart. They started firing everybody that was smoking weed. And they're like, "You can't do that. It's legal here. We got a script prescription, and now it's recreational legal, so you
When I
can't
was in
fine for that."
California, they sold weed at Target, Walmart, like all these places. You go in there and you see it all over the place. But then, of course, there's dispensaries like everywhere, and especially just over the border. Like people who are driving, I guess, to Colorado to buy weed. But now it's legal, in, like New Mexico and Arizona. They just
Just don't
legalize it.
drive through Texas after you've been in
Ne-
Colorado because you will probably
Nevada,
get pulled
Nevada
over.
used to advertise. They put people in jail for 20 years for a joint, and then there it is. You can buy whatever you want, right?
Yeah, because they want that money. They got
They want that tax money.
if you live in southern Nevada, you don't have to pay Fed tax, so you need to
Not for
take
nothing.
that up.
In Colorado, they advertised what they're using the money for. They built schools, they built roads. They a lot of good came out of it. So let people get their weed. Who cares? I mean, whether you like it or not, it doesn't really matter. If it doesn't destroy someone's life,
See, Clara says it numbs your psychic abilities when you smoke too much pot.
Maybe you have to smoke it so you can numb your psychic abilities, so you sleep again.
Clara, is that like from personal? I'm not being mean. I just asking. Is it like from personal experience? Is it? You and your husband, y'all very clairvoyant.
I've never heard of that in my life. I know people who
I've
do
heard other
investigations.
people tell me that. I've also had people tell
I
me
know
that
people who do paranormal
acid makes them more
investigations. They
psychic.
smoke before they go in because it relaxes them to a state that they can receive more. So whoever said that, Clara, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Talking out of your ass. Thank you.
I've heard a lot of people say it didn't sense. Not just that, not just a psychic's impasse, but I've heard other people for other
What do you
reasons.
think, Laura Lee? I think those people are dim to
I'm
begin
going to
with.
tell you right now, I'm a firm believer in the power of your mind. So I think if you believe that it dims even your subconscious believes it, I
There
think
you
that
go.
we can do amazing things with our minds.
If you
And
believe.
I do.
Well,
Some people are really, really sensitive,
Listen.
but I don't think I don't think. If you really want to know, I'm not a pot user. I have no problem with anybody that uses it. I think it has great medicinal purposes. I think it's here for a reason. And no, I don't believe that it dulls people's senses. Some people it may. Everybody's different. Like I said, we got 7 point.
Carl Sagan was a huge pothead. His father-in-law Harry told me that the best time he ever had in his life was smoking pot with Carl Sagan. I could say that now because they're all dead.
You know what, Michael? You know what? I just realized I had this conversation with somebody on the weekend, and they feel that they have had great spiritual experiences smoking marijuana. They've told me that themselves, and
so Indian peace pipe and all that's a big deal with the weed. But I'll tell you, aside from all the cultures,
Indian peace pipe is not weed, my friend. That's
of course
peyote.
I'll tell you about all.
That's peyote they smoking.
They don't smoke peyote; they drink it. But I'll tell you,
they smoke it too.
They brew it in a tea and they drink it down. Otherwise, you puke your guts out. So, but I'll tell you this: a 15-watt bulb is a 15-watt bulb. It'll never be a 20-watt bulb. So for the people out there that say that they're dim to begin with, and maybe that doesn't enhance them. But I know an awful lot of investigators who are the real deal, who go and relax themselves. They don't get drunk, they don't get stoned, but I'm just talking about people who relax themselves going into a situation. It helps. It helps, you know. You know what? If you're telling someone something and you talk to them directly and you're saying, you know what you should do this, you should do that, they're going to feel attacked. They're going to feel all kinds of stuff levied on them. If you talk to the person next to them and kind of offshoot it, and those people can observe the conversation and take the information in, they're going to learn a lot more. They're going to take it in. They're not going to be so defensive, and they're going to listen right. So the same for anything, you know. So yeah, don't smoke weed if it dims your senses. Smoke it if it increases your senses.
Yeah, but there's so many different kinds of weed too, depending on what you use, and I think everybody's different.
That's true. And then people shouldn't use it as a crutch for anything. That's for sure. Like say, I can't do, like an artist saying, I can't do my art without weed. That's crazy to me, you know.
Yeah, but some people, maybe that's what they believe, right? Again, power of the mind. If that's what you believe you have to do to get into that creative state of mind.
When I used to smoke weed back in the day, I'd get high and go into Walmart at 2:00 in the morning, man. You know how crazy that was? You know, and then of course you're looking at all kinds of shiny stuff, you know, playing with the stereos, the TVs, but then you're looking at the people too. You know what I'm saying? Then you get some good food and get the hell out of there.
Haven't you seen the website People of Walmart?
Oh my God, I can't believe that.
I know.
You guys see the one that's over here. I was the only one in there without a tattoo and who didn't smoke cigarettes. I could tell. You know, it was very funny. I was also the only one in there wearing a mask. But yeah, I mean, there's some people
on Facebook today. No,
there was a dude in a Speedo, a guy in a pink Speedo.
Yes, in British Columbia.
Here in Pennsylvania.
A guy in British Columbia too. What is it? Is this a new fashion statement? No, again, it's not paranormal. But
I gave him Joe's number. I said, you might probably get a show.
Yeah, give him pink shorts numbers.
Call him Pinky. Pinky Tucky.
You need to give him pink shorts numbers. He probably like him better.
Pinky Tucky.
Now, why can't he have something paranormal come and just like give him a good kick in the butt? That'd be nice.
That'd be funny. Because they don't want to interfere. People, the ghosts are dead. They're gone, you know, and you don't pity the dead, you pity the living, right? And then E.T. almost
Daddies and spirits, both of them, they can come kick
E.T. doesn't want COVID, so they're not coming. When I listen to E.T. even stopped probing for a while because they don't want the COVID. You know, they took all of our Lysol.
They want the COVID. They want everything. They want more dead people.
They went up there to spray those landers, man.
So the other side must be just an incredibly boring place. If dead people feel the need to come back and talk to live people here, it must be from another dimension. I can't. Why would I never understood that? So you can't. If you're in hell, you're in hell. If you're in heaven, you're in heaven. But
there is no hell. This is hell. I'll give you the three classifications. I'll give you the three. Then Laura will give you her interpretation. Right? There's earthbound entities, the ones who can't leave because they're stuck. They're stuck because they did something terrible. They're afraid or whatever. They're confused. It could be any reason, man. It could be young people who aren't guided to the other side, or they don't see that tunnel of light. Right? Then you have the magnetic imprints, the ones that just kind of did the same thing every day, and that's just kind of stuck, and they're not intelligent. You can't communicate with them, but they're just there. But then you have visitations, the people who come back and visit holidays, Christmas, birthdays, or whatever. Or if you're struggling, and when people ask me if they can communicate with someone who's passed, I said, take an item of theirs, go, think about them before you go to sleep. Think about the good memories, laugh, have a good time with it, take that item and go to sleep. And you'll have some kind of connection, maybe,
Again, they must be bored out of their minds.
Well, look at us. We're bored.
No. Do you know how miserable most parents would be if they lived on the other side and they could remember their lives and their children and grandchildren here? It'd be unbearable for most humans.
That you've lost that you love. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I do agree with Michael. I don't always believe people are stuck. There are people that are stuck. The people that choose to stay here, I think, whether it's because they're afraid of what they think really awaits them on the other side because of religious dogma. It could be they died very quickly, don't realize they're dead.
That just means the other side has no control then.
Joe, I don't think it's a thing that people are bored on the other side. The way it's been shown, at least, or what I've seen, is love isn't a strong enough word for what's over on the other side.
And if you're talking to someone you remember here, then you remember them while you're on the other side. You're going to be miserable.
I give up.
So we had situations.
Let me ask something personal, Laura Lee. So if you died today and you can see all your children remember everything you've done, it's not going to make you sad. You watching your children being
No,
you're not going to be sad. Nah, see, you're
no.
lying. You'd be sad. You
Why
wouldn't be
would
able to
I be
touch them. You wouldn't be able to
sad?
interact with them. Most of the time, you wouldn't be able to do anything with them. Maybe once a year. That's no.
Both
Most
of
people,
my
and that's
boys
not going to be good enough for most people.
abilities, but no, you're looking at it from a human perspective, Joe. And I really believe that once we do pass away, and if we do cross over, we lose a lot of this human perception of what we believe life is. I think that we are able to see it more holistically. And I said, love isn't even a strong enough word for it. I don't think I'm living, up in pie in the sky woo woo
See,
land here. I mean, we've had too many experiences.
again, that means the other side don't have control, or you can't let go. One or the other. Neither one of these are good things.
Well, it's
In
not
your
really about
mind, they're
control, is it?
not. But I'm going to
No,
tell
because
you
that
right
means that
now.
either you don't have control, or they don't have control, or you can't let go.
I'll tell you about the levels of consciousness, right?
I don't
So
know.
in that top level of consciousness, you have joy, gratitude, and love, and that's basically synchronicity, and you'll experience extraordinary outcomes if you live within that realm. The next level down is understanding, which is also a peak performance without stress, right? And then you have forgiveness, optimism, trust, and courage, which is happy and productive. But then you get out of that zone and you get stuck into negative emotion. You know what negative emotion is? Pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. All those things. If you're feeling sadness in the afterlife, then you're holding on to a negative emotion from this life.
Mhm.
And when you pass, that love is there. You want the people who are still there to lead their lives, and so you don't interfere. You could be there
Then that means
sometimes, but not
that
to
means you're
interfere.
stuck.
Is
So
that stuck? I
you're
mean,
not progressing. You're not moving on. You're not
you're
going
not
into the
you're not
next
stuck
life.
because it's
You're
not
living in the past, and you're not
it's
moving into
not.
the
But
future.
you're talking about spiritually. You're stuck if you're earthbound. Sure, you
Yeah, I
know we
agree.
we've got that
I'm not talking about
eerie.
that. I'm talking about you talking to your great grandmother who should have already moved on to her next
Thank you,
life, but she's still
Christy.
hanging around you, talking to you. No,
My
I'm not.
mom.
You
I'll
can't.
share
No,
this with you
I'm not
guys.
even believing
I'm
I'll
that.
so
share this
glad
with you
that
guys.
That's
Michael, because
total
I
BS.
knew you were going to say
I
this,
agree
and
with what
I'm
they
so
say in the
glad
chat
you
room.
are.
That's total
Thank
BS.
you.
I'll share this with you guys. My mom was passing. She was on her deathbed. This is back in April, right? And my family members were coming around. Her mother, her grandmother, right? And then there was a woman named Myrtle. She kept talking to Myrtle and having this conversation back and forth. So when I went there to visit, because my sister told me this, and I went there to visit, and I said, "Mom, who's Myrtle?" And she's like, "Oh, Uncle Ted's daughter." She didn't even have to think about it,
Yeah.
and she was having problems at that point. I mean, she was right there at the end of her life with your
Mhm.
memory. She's it's Ted's daughter. I mean, and
Because
she had
they're
died a long
there.
time. Yeah, she had, and Ted is my grandmother's brother, and then his daughter. I mean, they died a long time ago. You
Mhm.
know, and they were there waiting for her. They were there to shepherd her, and she felt like she was on a train. She kept saying, "When's this train going to get there?"
Yeah.
And I don't know. So
Working in palliative care, and Michael, you're absolutely right. And again, I think that we go through a little bit of a different process when we go through a terminal illness. There's always physical signs when you only have about 24 to 48 hours. And I think Michael and you and I talked about this one night after a show. I call it the gift. I'm writing a book about basically nurses' stories of what the miraculous, incredible things they've experienced when somebody has transitioned from this lifetime, um, call it transitioning back home, whatever you want to call it, passing away. And most people, like you said, your mom, in the state that she was but she was able to tell you who Myrtle was. Some people get just a minute, some people get 5 minutes, some people really lucky get 8 hours. I found that was really hard for families because, especially if they were very religious, they thought a miracle had occurred. Um, but they're able to have those conversations they weren't able to. But when you pass in life, and there's some people in the chat saying the same thing, we lose a lot of these human emotions, I think. And I said, love isn't a powerful enough word, but I would never be sad looking back at my children here. They have their own lives. They're here for their own type of thing. Like, why I can't ever see anything that would make
And
me
when something
sad.
horrible happens to them and you can't do anything about it, you're fine with that,
How do
right?
you know I
learning
can't do
lessons.
anything
What
about
what
it?
can
No
you
matter
do?
what, that's part of life. Horrible things happen to
I
good
mean,
people
what
all the
can you do?
time.
What can a
That's just
doctor
part of
do?
life.
Do they cure
I'm
anything?
not talking about
No.
a doctor can do a lot of
They never
things.
cure
You can't
anything.
do anything. You can't do nothing. You can't touch them. You're not on the same side. You can't hold them. You can't even console them.
Theoretically,
But you okay with that? See, I
theoretically.
don't even want to be that kind of person. That just shows that you're cold. That's
but
all that
maybe
shows right there.
so
Yeah.
Joe, I'll tell you right now
And
when
by the
it's your
way, there's
turn,
a scientific thing about when
and you're
people
gonna
get
look
lucid.
back and you're gonna be so happy looking on your whole family that with love and happiness, and you're gonna understand it from the bigger picture. I hope I'll put it that way. And I'm not being condescending in any
Mm,
way.
getting condescending to me because I think it's BS. I don't think the other side works
I
like
think
that.
Life
I don't think
I
they're
life
think
is
allowed
that's
to
what
have
suffering,
that
needs to
man.
be
much.
said.
Well,
Everybody knows
no,
life is
because that
suffering.
means you're waiting. You're not progressing. You're not learning anything. You're just sitting around watching people. That doesn't even.
Well,
That's
Nobody
who
not even the
says
other side
who
that I
says
even want
that's
to
all that
go
they
to.
do?
there is no
Who
time
says
and
that's all
space
that
on
they
the other
do?
side.
Pretty much, if when you start talking, when you start listening to psychics, especially the amount of psychics that are around today, we're talking literally million now.
Mhm.
No, man, I'm just not thinking there's 50 million people on the other side always ready to talk and hang out. I'm just not buying it.
Listen, man,
That
there's a
means to
guy
me
I
they're
had on
not
my
moving
show
on. They're stuck.
a few
Oh
times. We
man,
all know
no
who he
way.
is. I'm not going to say his name, Robbie Thomas. And then, you know what? Not
Thomas
for nothing. I'm
Robbie.
going to share this story because it still
Go ahead.
bothers
I
me.
know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
When my mom was dying, I reached out to him, and I didn't want to. And he does these readings and whatever, and he charges a few $100, and I didn't go that route. I just said, please, I had you on my show a couple times. I see you as a friend, kind of, sort of. Even though he unfriended me during the Trump wars, which is kind of interesting, but and then friended me again, and I told him it was a reconnection fee. But I'm like, what do you feel from my mom? That's all I said, and I was desperate. And I know what I felt in my heart anyway. He said, oh, she's going to be fine. She has bigger fish to fry. She's going to get out of there. Everything's going to be great. She died a few days later. So I'm not going to blame someone like that. I mean, who says he's so accurate, he brags and all that. But you know what he did? He went on his Facebook page and said, Michael Angley just reached out to me about his mother, said her
Oh,
last name. Yeah, he said her
why would
first name
you
and
say that?
last name and said she's my biggest fan. And, and now I'm her biggest fan and all this other stuff.
Oh, I'm
He
so sorry,
he
Michael. That's
used
awful.
me. Robbie Thomas used me and my mom for his bullcrap. Then when she died, he didn't even say I'm sorry, nothing. You know what he did? And he saw it because he like the thing that I put up. I said, hey, it's about time I come on your show again. I was like, oh, I unfriended him, and I was like, you know what? If that's all you care about, I don't care if you're not Mr. Super Psychic or whatever, but don't. And then Amelia turned me on to a few articles about what a fake and phony the guy is, and I found that to be fascinating, But he's also very boring to have on your show, so I end up having to talk a lot, which I don't mind, obviously.
I
But yeah, it hurt. It hurt. You know that to use my mom's name. I didn't give him permission to use her last name.
No, that's
You
just
know,
cheese balls, is what
it,
that
it
is.
hurt. It hurt bad, as a matter of fact, that he did that.
I
But that's
I
what kind of
think
person
that
Robbie
when we're
Thomas is.
dealing with human beings that we need to maintain confidentiality. I really do, especially when it's personal, close things. Not passing any judgment. I just know that's very important. Even any conversations I have with anybody, unless I have their permission.
Right.
No,
It's
I haven't
respect.
asked spirits if it's okay.
It's respect. It's respect. Hey, can I put this on my thing? Can I use this? Can I tell people about it? It wasn't his place to put my mom's last. I didn't post her last name on my page. You know what I mean? Who the hell is he to do that? To me, it's a privacy thing too. You know,
Amelia's in the chat now, and so she said she's put her thoughts, and I have to say that let's just say I was aware of that for a long time. I didn't
really
say
is the best. I love her.
So the Christians believe anybody you're talking to on the other
If
side
her husband
is
ever
a
goes to the
demon
wayside, I'll be out there with a guitar
or
recording
evil
her.
spirit.
I'll be on the other side of the border singing "That's amore." It's a bigger pizza pie, and she'll come right like a trance to me, man.
oh, good Lord.
Then we'll cook together. Damn it, we'll cook and post pictures of food, and people will be like, "Whoa, those guys are cooking." You damn right.
Dear God.
It's a bigger pizza pie, and the moon up
And
in
I
the
gotta be
sky.
honest, the majority of psychics I find fall into his category.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Well, first off, when I hear a psychic say, "Oh, I see an I and O and J," I'm like, "Yeah, you're a fraud. I'm out of here."
Well, look at John Edwards, right? My mom and my sister went to
That's
go see
another
him
one.
when he was going to St. John's. He was doing readings. So he was a student there, but doing
We
readings
saw
on
him.
the side. My sister lived in Maspeth, so she found him first. And then they went to see him. You know what? Everything he said came true. Everything he said, he was right on. So I don't know. You know,
And wait, how did he do it? Did they fill in the blanks, or did he fill in the blanks? Because I've never seen
I
him do a
wasn't
show
there. Got no
where
clue.
because the way he does it is he pulls a
Yeah,
letter and you fill in the blank.
because
That's why he's accurate, because you're filling in the blank, not
we
him.
got tickets. Somebody went to. No, he didn't make any predictions, but it was a very odd. There was a big argument going on the first two rows in front of us because I think there was quite a few people that had the same letters, and like I said, I didn't pass judgment on it in any way. I try not to do that to people. I'm not always perfect, but
Yeah.
it was a very odd reading.
You know what? James Van Prague, I believe, is a mentalist. And a mentalist is someone who does exactly that. There's a J name in your life or S name. They use very common letters. Oh, you know, I feel a cancer, and there's an important date coming up. Oh, and then everyone's always got some important date. Everyone, they got to think.
That's
How many
exactly how the
family
other
members?
boy did it.
And
That's
how
he
many
did.
how many things do you die of in the world? Oh, you're going to die of cancer. You're going to die of a heart thing. You know, there's not too many things you can die from necessarily. It's not like, oh, this guy got, bitten by a shark. You know what I mean? like some kind of offshoot. You don't ever hear them say that. So James Van Prague, I put in the same category as Sylvia Brown.
You know who I like that's
the
a
BS people.
mentalist is Darren Brown over in the UK, because he tells you how he does it.
Yeah, but
And
Sylvia Brown.
Del has used a couple of his tricks, and
Yeah.
I've seen it, and I just about died. The person did exactly what he said. He never ordered them. He never did anything crazy. He just did exactly what he did, and it worked. So
I just haven't seen any real psychics on TV in a long time.
Well, he's not psychic. He'll tell you.
I know. What's his name? Because his cousin used to be on the network. Chris George was his cousin. Mm-hmm. And so we actually knew they actually used to get into it rarely, because Chris used to always call him a fraud. He's like, we always say I'm a J, a A, a K. Man, look, that's all it is fishing.
I have a problem.
Christina George, the one that was in jail for fraud.
No, Christina George never been in jail for fraud. But
no,
you're talking about Chris George.
I have a problem with that too.
Chris George.
Chris George. That's Stephanie's old man.
Oh,
yeah, they had.
Who was that other one?
NYC
that was
in New York. NYC is what they had.
Who was that other one? I got so many emails from people saying that she
that was Christina George. Yeah, that was
Christina George.
That was Christina George, but none of that was true, so it didn't matter.
But she's the one who was ill all the time, right?
Yeah, she still is, actually. This girl's just got bad health. She's actually pretty good. She's actually an excellent interviewer. I don't know how psychic she is, but she's
I had to block those people.
The best psychic I ever met.
I told them I don't care. I could care if she defrauded her great grandmother. What do I care, man? What am I, the FBI?
Yeah, well, she didn't though. So she's actually quite good at what she did. But the best telepath I ever met could anything that was in your head, she could read to you. It didn't matter what you were thinking; she could write it down in text as fast.
Oh, that'd be a horrible girlfriend.
And actually, we're still very close.
I'd be in so much trouble. That would last a minute. Not even.
She was very close, because I'm the one that helped her figure out what the hell was going on with her head.
1 minute she'd be at a lawyer's office.
But yeah, I know. And that's the other thing, because she called me one day and I wouldn't answer the phone. She texted me. She says, I know what the fuck you're thinking, right?
Ooh, I know you're just sitting there.
And
so
she said, no. She said, I know what you're thinking about. You don't want to hear me whine and cry about my new old lady or new old man, whatever it was at the time, flavor of the month. And I
would send her the craziest
I thought back
thoughts.
to her, you're effing right. And she texted me back.
I would just imagine a big pig playing the guitar, like some crazy stuff, like big bloody pig
that's the
playing
problem.
the guitar.
Working for iCar, we've actually met real psychics and real empaths. So for me, it's different when I'm fooling around with most people on the internet or online that just don't qualify in those ranges.
Right.
They're not that accurate.
They're writing books.
Skilled.
They're out
they
there
write
writing
books all they want.
But they're out there to be. But this is what poisons the paranormal community when you have these fake people out there. And then there's people that, like us, the three of us, are into real stuff. We don't just do this for nothing. We actually do this for nothing, basically. But we don't just do it to do it. You know what I mean? It's about producing evidence. What you meant when you said it's about producing evidence.
But that's what got us started in the beginning on psychics.
And helping people, right?
Because I always heard all my life, everybody's got some kind of latent psychic ability. So I said, well, if that's true, we can test it. And we did. And not just us. I've seen this test done in colleges and in controlled laboratories. Let me tell you what, the majority of people don't have any psychic ability whatsoever.
That's right. That's why I'm going to Vegas, to be a card counter and also a coyote for straws. I'm going to smuggle them into California.
Hey, you can make some money on straws out there in
Plastic
California.
straws in California,
baby. You can make some money out there on plastic straws right now. But I
That's
heard
right.
$1 straw is what I was told the other day. Somebody said, "You're going to Cali, bring me some plastic straw, I'll give you $1 straw." It's like, get the hell out of here. No, man, I'm serious. We can't get plastic straws anymore. And everybody hates them old wax
It
paper.
sounds crazy, but it's not
Really.
because they need plastic
Now,
straws.
now
It's
we got
actually a
we got to
health
address
thing,
this.
man.
Hold on, we only got 20 minutes left. We got to address this. So we got quite a few religious people that wrote in while we were talking.
That's fine.
And
MichaelAngley.com for plastic straws if you live in
yes,
California.
yes. Right to Michael Angley. Right to Michael Angley. Right to Michael Angley. Right to
MichaelAngley.com.
Michael Angley. But anyway, so no, I agreed that when I was
Multicolored
raised Catholic, that I
rainbow
was taught
straws.
that if you talked to anything on the other side, it was evil. Didn't matter what it was
Zippy
evil.
straws.
Even if it was being nice, it was still evil.
And
And
crazy straws.
I can't tell you how many times through all my entire Catholic upbringing that was not beaten, pounded in my head over and over and over.
That the
and
Catholic
over.
Church
That's why I
has
got popped in the mouth
molesters.
because I said this is
Pedophiles.
purgatory. Well, I always thought Earth was purgatory. That's why I got popped in the mouth for
I
saying
never
that one
was
time.
taught that in school. I went to Catholic school. I had to go.
Oh man, they were on that nonstop. And then when I got out of Catholic, I said, my wife was Pentecostal. She was taught the same way. But when I got to the Baptists were the same way. If you're talking to anything that's dead, it's evil. It's because anything that's not evil has passed on to the other side.
All right, so their own book says
communicate.
that Michael the archangel took Satan, threw him out of heaven down to earth. Period. No, not hell.
That's what they're saying.
No
And
purgatory.
that's who you're talking to, earthbound demons.
Down to earth. And this was earth, and those fallen angels. But yet, it was the fallen angels apparently that gave people all the knowledge to build things and do things. If you read the stories and read between the lines too,
It sounds more like extraterrestrials, but that's for a different show.
And they created Joe Montaldo.
That's for a different show.
Who created United Public Radio
on,
Network.
Glenn,
and then we're desensitizing everyone to UFOs and ghosts here.
Oh, okay, quick. What we got? Okay, real quick. So
and bleed through.
Glenn, yeah, bleed through is my favorite. Glenda, if you want to know, testing psychics are easy. Okay, now.
Yeah, you throw them off a cliff, see if they live.
I mean, we're not talking about now. Look, don't get confused. There's psychics.
Well, that's just Robbie, all right.
There's psychics, there's telepaths, and there's
the guy's whiter than me and claims his Native American heritage. I love that. I actually know Native Americans who actually suffer and live on the res and whatever. But I love the white guys. Like, I'm Native American. They adopt this whole,
Native Americans. They won't stand up for themselves.
They adopt the entire Native American thing, even though they're like Elizabeth Warren.
If they won't stand up, I mean, if they wouldn't even stand up against Elizabeth Warren, shame on them. That's all I can say. There's
I'm half Jewish because I've eaten so many bagels, man. I've actually become that. Matzah bagels, all that matzo ball soup. I'm at least half Jewish. I never had a bar mitzvah.
But anyway, getting back to what different types of.
Well, I got Jewish people in my family, but it was different blood.
Yeah. So no, clairvoyancy is just what it means. Somebody who can see the future.
Right.
A telepath is not a clairvoyant. A telepath is a telepath.
Clairvoyant actually is the veil. Means the veil, right? And that Lao Tzu talking about that veil, the veil barely seen, and if you can use it. But he said knowledge of the future.
Veil that rubs up against the veil.
Knowledge of the future is a flowery trapping, because it's just not. It's not in the here and today. But now in Taoism, death is going home. Life is having to leave home, and while you're living, you're riding the wave. The Tao actually means threshold of life. It's a threshold. And it's not a religion, I mean, people try to make it a religion. Like Buddhism is the world's 4th largest religion, but it's such a stupid story. I mean, and the dude left his wife and kid behind in the palace so he can go around, and because he was having a personal problem with other people suffering, even though he wasn't suffering, but he wasn't cast out. He could have gone back at any time. So then, when all this chaos is going on, he's sitting in front of his fig tree, ignoring everything, but that's not the way to live either. But I'm just saying, these religions are nuts.
So somebody name a clairvoyant that predicted something. Something of consequence.
The Buddha says, "Give me your money." Oh, that was Catholic Church. Never mind.
And that wasn't predicted.
Catholic Church, give me 20% of your income.
But somebody, I mean, we got several different people asking for somebody who's predicted something of consequence. Like, who predicted 9/11? Nobody.
Well, she said that those guys were cheating on your boyfriend's cheating on you with 3 girls. She was probably absolutely right.
Who predicted Fukushima? Nobody. Who predicted 3 Mile Island? Nobody. Who predicted Chernobyl? Nobody.
No.
Yeah.
Fukushima was
Yeah.
predicted by the people who invented Godzilla
Yeah.
because there was
Yeah.
no other
That
way
don't count.
those lizards grow out of control like that. We're going to see that Godzilla soon. They're
So
dumping all that
the
water in
point
the
being
ocean.
is there's no true clairvoyant on this planet that can predict something on a regular basis. Not that
Bob
they don't
Avanya
ever
was
get
one of the
lucky every
most,
once in a while.
but Bob Avanya was one of the most accurate, but yet but you can't alter anything because of what they say. You can't. It's not such precise info where you can stop anything in motion. She can see the twin towers falling, but you don't know when and where or how and what. And people knew about all that information beforehand, and they didn't stop it. So,
Well, the Twin Towers was ignorant since they tried to blow them up 8 years earlier. That was just on the government there. That just falls all over the government there.
my mom said nobody even wanted. I mean, she used to work in the Empire State Building at that time, back in the late '60s. She said nobody even wanted them built because they were so ugly and they thought
They
they
were
were a
big,
blight.
ugly, rectangular shaped things. Notre Dame supposedly did, but everything from Notre Dame is after the fact, so it's hard to know for sure.
That's the same for Bob Avanya, right? I mean, you can take all this information,
Yeah,
and she's
you
got a
need
great story.
somebody who comes
Got
out
struck by
like
lightning
Mike.
and she
Say
was blind.
Mike comes out tomorrow and says, "Okay, not only is Newsom going to be thrown out of California, but he's going to be rode out on a horse." Stuff like that is accurate. Something's going to happen the way it's going to happen, and it's going to lead him out probably in a Mustang or something. But
Right. I
still,
said this last week. I said I had a weird dream that this volcanoes exploded in the U.S. It was going to be really terrible, and then also I was dating the Queen of England, which was really disgusting. So it was.
I'm
But now
hoping after what's his name becomes king, right?
then I read the news now, and these volcanoes going off, and I'm like, do I have to date the Queen of England? Because it really is disgusting. She's like
Yeah.
100.
Well, she might not be queen for much longer. So
But she was
you
very
might get
funny.
lucky there.
She had a great sense of
You
humor
might
too.
have
She
to
was very
date
funny.
Camilla. Isn't that her
I
name,
think the Queen
Camilla?
of England and I could have a laugh, man. We could have a real ball.
Yeah, I
You know
bet
what
you.
I mean?
Yeah, I bet you she could have. She probably knows a lot of stuff. But really, so that's a problem for clairvoyancy. It's just hard for anybody to really be out there. You don't have anybody since Notre Dame really that can just go bam, 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 bam. This is all going to happen.
Bob Avanya. She was the
Now,
one that did
the
that.
U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force agreed on this, that telepaths on this planet are less than 3%. And by the way, they've been tracking telepaths for at least 50
Project
years now.
Stargate, man.
So,
That's right. I mean, they were getting the best of
they
the
were
best.
so interested in telepaths that they got rid of remote viewers and replaced them with telepaths.
That's
Which
why
is a
I
whole
love
other
those
damn
CIA
thing.
reports that are declassified about the mapping things out on Mars and all that. It's fascinating to me, man.
It is. It's fun stuff.
Because those were the best clairvoyance you can find. Period.
Well,
Best money can buy.
that's not clairvoyancy. That's probably more like remote
Well,
viewing.
telepath. These guys were reading the surface, and plus they're going back in time. So they were well beyond most of the people I've
Well,
ever
I
met.
don't doubt that like remote viewers every now and then could slip forward or slip backwards a little ways because of the way they do it. Telepaths are a little different. They're seeing things that are more, how can I say it?
I did a show recently on remote viewing on how to strengthen that anybody can do it, how to strengthen your ability. I gave them very different ways. It was mainly for gambling in Las Vegas, like being able to see things. And because I've met psychics who are very wealthy who say they gamble and they don't tell a lot of people this. And I would never mention their names because they asked me not to, like some other people, man. But I will say that they know what they're doing, and they get a feeling. It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. I mean, do they see the numbers? Everybody's different, man. Everybody, I knew a guy overseas that could, if you had a business card in your pocket, he could read it in his mind and tell you everything didn't matter. He can go through your wallet and see things. That's the kind of people the military wants to hire, right?
Yeah, because that's real psychics.
Yeah, the ones who went into those Soviet rooms and looked at documents and all that. I mean, those people.
But that's right. The reason they got rid of remote viewers because they couldn't do that. They could find the building in the door, but they couldn't read the documents. And,
so what about Project Phoenix and all that? And what about the people that they tried conditioning so they can go into other people's dreams and kill them, like assassinate people in their
dream
dreams?
weaving is an interesting thing and it's a real thing, but no one has possesses telekinesis enough to do it yet. Unfortunately, that's another thing on the planet. See, that's another factor that tells you where our evolution is.
So it's a limitation.
Planet,
so how do you strengthen that limitation?
It's a natural progression, and none of us really have it yet. The reason you're going to have to, so what's going to have to happen is you're going to have empaths that become telepaths that can become other parts of the psychic community, and then they'll eventually move into the clairvoyant. I mean,
You
not into
just need an
clairvoyance, but into
extension, so like having an amplifier. You know what I mean?
no,
You need an extension.
your brain has to develop the means to do it. It's not that there's no people that do telekinesis. There are some people who can make doors slam and bend stuff, but they can't pinpoint it. In other
I
words,
can make the door slam. I
they
walk over
can't
to her right now.
they
I'll
can't get
slam the
into
hell
your
out.
head. And this isn't easy because people tell me all the time, "Oh, we got all these people in the military, these super soldiers that have this." No bullshit. Because if we did, Putin would be dead. Ping would be dead. All kind of people would be dead. Trump would have had half the damn country assassinated. Hillary would have definitely been dead. And if Hillary had got hold to it, all kind of other people would be dead. The problem with this is it's be able to go into somebody's brain and see that little vein and be able to squeeze it shut until they die is just not something we possess yet. Or squeeze the artery in the heart because it looks like a heart attack. It's just not something we have drugs that can do it, mind you, that you can hit somebody with a pin on your thing and kill them and make it look
So
like
you
a
don't
heart
believe in
attack.
voodoo
Voodoo is a whole
or
different thing.
Santeria?
Voodoo is drug related. Voodoo is a whole different thing. They don't
Black
make
magic.
zombies. They
Let's
don't
just
make
say black
zombies
magic.
out of
You
well,
don't
no.
believe in
So,
black
but you see,
magic.
that's the thing. Black magic is the same thing. They use drugs and powders and elixirs to control stuff. They're not really using magic in the way we think of it,
I'm saying
especially in
to
voodoo.
adversely affect somebody else, aside from running up to him with a gun and
You do
shooting
know
him.
that's how we learned about that drug is because in the old voodoo priestess used to turn people into zombies. That's how we learned about the zombie drug because of them.
I dated a voodoo
But it's
girl,
still
man.
just a
She was
drug.
really into some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I'll never say
I've
that
known
out
a
loud.
few over the year. I've known a few over the year that are very,
I was afraid of her.
very strange. You should be, man. There's all kind of stuff they could use to make you just look like you
All
died
her enemies
overnight.
were dead.
And the bad part is they can make you look like you were dead and then bury you alive. You wake up in the damn grave alive.
We left on good terms.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yes, whatever you want. Just call me anytime, sweetheart.
She got a lot
I'm
of
glad
chicken
you don't
feet
love me
hanging around.
anymore, but if you need anything,
That's for
just
that
let me
chicken
know.
feet. Well, voodoo actually is pronounced voodoo is from like an African thing, and also it's a component. It's a lot of different components.
It's not really
All,
an African thing
all
more. It is
brought in. Well,
an islander
it
thing.
came from Africa originally, but there's different religion. Then Haiti, I don't know. It kind of made that way around, and I don't know.
It really started in the southern islands is where it really started.
I think if you focused on someone, you got the evil eye for them. That you're using your energy to work against them. But as for life, though, we're all on our own journey in this world. That's all.
Well,
You
I'm
know,
telling
and
you now, don't come trying to talk to me when I'm dead because I'm planning on moving on. I'm going
that
to be hanging out
journey
on the other
belongs
side
to
for any
us.
length of time.
You're gonna be haunting that house.
I ain't
You're
haunting
moving
nothing.
there.
I'm gonna be on my merry way. Look, I don't want to be hanging around wasting time. There's lots of
I'll
people
see
to
you on
see, lots
Mars.
of things to meet, lots of crazy aliens to party with. I don't want to be hanging out on the other side
Meet
for any more time than I
meet me
have
at the
to.
Horsehead Nebula, man. I'll be the one
I'm just
with a
telling you,
Hawaiian
man.
shirt.
I'm hoping. I'm honestly hoping this is my last incarnation on this badass
I'll see
focused
you in the
planet we
bleed through.
live on. Yeah, you might. That's a dimension, so you might. Dimensional bleed through is actually a factual thing, so it's not like the ghost stuff and all. It's actually
Me and
something
this
that's
Navajo
real.
chief will come get you, man. We'll come by and pick you up.
They,
You want to hear something that's crazy though? I'm so attracted to that area, and there's really no reason to be, but yes, there is because my father was born in 1917 up in the Eagle Nest, New Mexico, right? And I can't even imagine what it was like in 1917. I see pictures of it now. 8,400 feet in elevation, so no wonder he was messed up, and like asphyxia, whatever's going on. And they had a tough life. I mean, they were farmers and they had a tough life and all that, but his closest friends were these Native Americans, and then
Have you ever been to the mountain of Buffalo Bones?
well, he taught me two things. One, don't trust anybody like him, and number two, don't. He taught me this rain dance, and then I this is crazy because I mentioned it on Facebook once in a while. We all laugh about it, but when I do this rain dance, it rains its ass off. I did it for this whole Southwest about a month and a half ago, and then it just started raining spontaneously all over the place. And they had their monsoons after they predicted there'd be no
I'm
monsoon.
putting this up on paper.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's. I'm not to the point where I'm that crazy where I'm saying that's me, but I'm saying that I believe in that type of energy. That's all. I believe if you direct the energy, who's to say that one person can't direct their energy for a major accomplishment? Look at George Washington. You didn't think that he had the energy for a major accomplishment, and he was he didn't want the job. It was thrust upon him. but yet, it's politics, but still, I'm talking about the energy behind it. You know what I mean? And what you have to persevere and push through if you really want something. Nothing comes to you. See, so people confuse the word hope and the word faith. They don't mean the same thing. Hope is putting your everything in somebody else's lap, or letting the universe have some kind of say. But faith is having faith in yourself, knowing that you can do it. And then if you fail, it's just a learning lesson. The only time you really fail is when you don't do something.
That's
So
what I
I'll
tell you.
leave that
You
there.
get farther with hope and faith than you can with one or the other.
I don't
Same
believe in
thing with
hope.
Pat and Ben, by the
I don't
way.
believe in prayers. Praying to fake gods and all this other stuff is useless, man. And I don't believe in hope. Hope is out the window.
If you ever need to just move forward, always believe in Pat and Ben, and they'll always get you moving
All
forward.
these religious leaders pray to money. That's all that they do. So I pray to something
Mm.
different. It's not even a prayer. It's a spiritual and universal connection. I
Have you
like the
not
people that
heard
say they're
them?
not
God
religious, but they're
told them that they
spiritual.
had to be rich to do what they were going to do.
Yep.
I still want to know what Tammy Faye and her old man was thinking about, but still.
He was thinking about girls because he was trying to get Jessica Hahn. Remember, he had that whole thing with her. She was in Massapequa. That church was in Massapequa, Long Island, so it was big news. Then Howard Stern had her on the show, and
That,
she
that
showed her
church was
boobs and got naked, and that was like a whole thing, ridiculous, But
that church was phenomenally huge, man. It's like the ones they got down here where Swagger got caught out on Airline Highway trying to pick up a hooker, and the police picked him up of all things. And he tried to pray to the police, and they were like, "You're going to jail, boy. We don't care
he
who
got
you
caught
are."
in L.A. He got caught in L.A. with hookers and a Jaguar. See, these days nobody wouldn't even bother him. These days they wouldn't interfere with the hookers and what they were doing.
And see, is he going to
Right?
talk to you from the other side? No, he's going to be moving on because he ain't going to be thinking about this life anymore. He'd be like, "Let me
Jimmy
out of here,
Swaggart,
man."
he's gonna be counting his dough. Try to take it with him.
He's going to be moving on. And that's what I'm saying. He's going to be moving on so he can get some more.
Like Oral Roberts when he went out to people and said he needed $5 million, otherwise Satan was going to come and take him away. And then they gave him his $5 million. Then 2 weeks later, he asked for another $5 million, otherwise Satan was going to come. I'd be like, well, then see ya. I can't afford it. I need my money for
Man, he
shoes.
built an empire too.
The suitcase.
I want my money. I got to buy Twinkies and
That's.
you know.
But you see, where are the psychics for that? Where are the psychics picking out these frauds? Where are the psychics when it comes to bad politicians?
Because I think if people are stupid, they're stupid. And if you give your money to Olstein or one of these losers, then you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You may as well just give it to somebody who needs it, because these guys don't need it.
Anybody's even going to listen to somebody. For all you know, there have been people out there that have tried to say something, right?
Remember,
Yeah,
Olstein built.
the world of the internet. Anybody can say something. They can put it up in a blog, and it's there. And then when it happens, they can say, "Go back and look." See, I learned this with myself. The reason the alien
go along with the narrative, Joe. You don't appear anywhere.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
So,
it works.
No, I put the Alien Enigma site up in 1998. It's blogged. It's even posted from the company, not from me. So anything I said on there, it actually says when it was said. It's easy to go back and check. You can't go put a blog up after you say something and it happens. You have to do it before. It has to be dated through the company, and it has to be posted long before it happens.
In this conversation, because
I'm just saying, because you got to prove it. You can't just expect people to believe you because you said something after the fact. That's not proof.
I wasn't saying that. I don't know where you're getting that from. I wasn't saying someone's going to post a blog after it's occurred. Who in the right mind is going to believe them?
They're going to say it. It doesn't matter. Blog, saying it, TV, doesn't
I
matter.
have pictures of ghosts. Where did they come from? It wasn't bleed through. It wasn't the camera didn't create it by itself.
I'm going to run because I'm going to be on in an hour. You guys have a great evening. I'll see you in an hour.
Be good.
See ya.
Good.
Oh, well.
Put that over there. The aliens are coming for all of you people.
I hope so.
They ain't coming for me. I'm hanging out down here.
I think you are an alien.
I'm not going to the other side. That sounds boring. They will come get you, buddy. You better stop that.
I want them to.
That's a friend of mine goes. He said, "I don't understand how you know so much about psychic abilities unless you're psychic." I said, "I'm not psychic." He's like, "You know a lot of shit sometimes." The only thing I'm psychic about, I try to block out people. I'll be honest with you. I've predicted 14 people's death to the day, to the hour, to the minute, long before they ever happen, usually years in advance. And I tell you what, I have drank myself, alcohol myself, and drugged myself just so I would never.
You're not the kind of guy that gets invited to parties.
I don't want it. I don't. It was. And somebody said, "What's a gift?" No, it's not a gift. It's a fucking curse, is what.
Well,
it is.
John Edwards, like he said when he was young, he had a real problem shutting it off.
It is. That's why I learned to do other stuff, because it is hard to shut off.
Going to sleep. I mean, he actually had done, help people understand their gift. You know what I mean? And shutting off. And I know people who had it who didn't want it. That's the first. I mean, they were so panicked because they see things and they hear things and whatever. You
I
know.
just got tired of seeing people dying close to me. And the only other thing is, sometimes I'll meet people and I'll see like 10 or 15 years of life from date. I can tell them the whole thing, who they're getting married to, what they look like, when they did it, what they were wearing, what they were eating, where they were going, how much money they had in the bank. To me, it's how psychic works. Or clairvoyant, you can see the whole glimpse at one time. But it doesn't happen every time. It doesn't happen to every person. I can't do it on command. I can do dream weaving on command, but I can't
I
do
get like
that
deja
on command.
vu and it all starts to come true. When I get deja vu and it comes true like that, I can actually predict the next few seconds and what exactly is going to happen because I've already like relived that section. So there's stuff like that too. But like, there's things that you just get the feeling for or and then look at other instances like twins who have connection.
Well,
Something happens to one, the other one understands it, it feels it, or like a mother and their son, they reach out. There's things like that you can't really ignore.
well, there's a lot of things like Zero just said. For me, the outing moment, I guess I don't want to say the awakening. The outing moment for me was when I was like 12. I had dreamt about my dad dying when I was 15, when I was 16, a couple of days after my birthday.
Mm.
And for some reason, before that, I remember being brought to the hospital handcuffed.
Hmm.
I got arrested or something. And when they released me, I seen my brother there, my older brother, and he was saying something smart. I tried to choke him to death.
Hmm.
But I thought it was a dream, and that's all it was. It was a dream. That was
That's
it.
a good story for the cops, man.
So I know, and then so all of a sudden that night, while I'm choking my brother on the floor, who was twice my size at the time, it just hit me like deja vu. Joe, you dreamt about this. What the hell? And I mean, I did. I was trying to choke him out. I had enough of his ass. I was mad because I knew my dad was dying. I was just pissed. And then 4 days later, my dad passed, and everything happened just the way I seen it from start to finish. There was no interruption. There was nothing else. There was no way to change it. There was no way even to interact it. And then right after that, I dreamt about three more people dying, which was my grandfather, my great aunt, and one of my uncles. And it all happened exactly. And at that point, I just started drinking like you wouldn't freaking believe, man. I was like anything to, and it didn't really matter. I could drink, and then just before I'd wake up, I would dream something like that. I'm like, oh, you got to be shitting me. I started writing it down, and then I remember my aunt asked me, "Why don't you tell people?" I said, "Because I ain't telling nobody this." And I said, "Just crazy." And then, so after those four died, I started telling some of my friends, when I'd see something, just so I know I wasn't going totally crazy. And it just until recent times, it's kind of dulled lately, so which is kind of nice. Or maybe I've dulled. I'm not sure what the hell, but anyway, I can still see all the certain people's lives when I meet them. Or I don't even meet them sometimes. Sometimes I'll be talking to somebody online, and it's just like, wow. And then I'll just tell them what I've seen, and they can take it for what it is. And I remember I told one of my stepdaughters one day I'd seen him. I told him the guy that he was going to look like. He said, he looked like an old jarhead. Looks like kind of like Archie from one of the cartoons. And
Yeah, Jughead.
yeah, I said, I just went on and on about the things that were going to happen, what he was going to do for a living, and blah, blah, blah. And she just looked at me like, no way I'm going to ever date anybody like that. I don't know if she date him. She's still married to him. And I told her that, and I said, there'll be one time in later in your years, probably in your 40s, close to 50. So I can't tell exactly how old you are. I said, but it has something to do with your not being able to have children, don't want to have children. It's going to cause an issue. It's something you can work out, but I seen both sides. I seen it going either way, which was kind of weird. So I could only tell her what I could see. I couldn't really tell her anything else. And then I've seen other people like my grandmother. I was sitting there talking to my uncle, her son, one night, and it just hit me. And I was like, no way, because biggest was I was close to her. And I was like, And so I sat down and told her, and she told me she seen it, which she was always clairvoyant. She always knew who was on the phone, who was knocking on the door, this woman was constant, used to drive me crazy. Oh, where'd you take my car tonight? No, where I took her. No, you went here, you went there, you went here. It's like, if it would have been today, I would have thought it was GPS on the car. I don't know how she knew, man. I don't know how she knew. She just knew.
I know people work in hospice
Make
care,
me crazy.
and they tell me a lot of stories on when people pass, what they experience.
Yeah, they experience a lot of weird stuff too.
Even some see spiritual energy leave their body,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But those people are gifted. It's not like one of the
Yeah, because there is a time for some of them where there's a moment of clarity or an hour or two of clarity. It's really, really, really weird. And you don't know if it's clarity on that side or this side, or if it's something else, remembering something from when they were younger and they were just talking through it. It's a strange thing to watch. And we don't really know because none of us are in their heads, so we don't really know. I have talked to two telepaths that were in somebody's head when they died. Actually, one was in three different people's heads when they died. One was in, one girl did it. She said she'll never do it again. And I said, why did you? She said, all I seen was darkness. I said,
Because you
was this person evil or bad? She said, no, it's a very good person. I said, so did you just let go? She said, I'm telling you, Joe, all I saw was darkness, like there was
you
nothing else.
your body limits you,
Right.
man.
I would
Just
think
like
so.
people who are mentally, they're retarded, they have issues or whatever. That spirit in there is not retarded. The spirit in there doesn't have that. It's the body. Just like when my mom had those strokes, it was her body that was given out. It wasn't her. It wasn't her spirit. And then she had that moment of clarity. And you know what? That nurse said exactly that. Like right before they die, they have this moment of clarity where they know everything. They're all it's and I don't know. These people are in the business. They see people die every day, several times a day at times. So it's just something to take note of. And I don't try to convince people of stuff either. Like we were talking earlier about telling someone this and wanting them to believe. I don't care what people believe. This is my own mission. This is just like you're on your own mission. If I share details and I share info, I love that. I love doing shows on UPRN talking about everything paranormal, man. I talk about everything. Every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, Discovery Paranormal, man. We talk about everything,
That's
everything.
where y'all should be. Yeah,
All
there's
it's the science of paranormal is how I describe it. And in fact, tomorrow I'll be talking about dark energy and the things that keep our universe together. And just it's just matter, dark matter, antimatter. All of these things figure in, and it's all part of the puzzle.
somebody logged into the Pal Talk chat room, the ghost of Stephanie. I should kick your ass out for that, honestly.
Maybe it is.
Unless you are that. Well, no, if it was, she'd already let us know.
If that's Stephanie, tell me about what did you call? Like call me 4 o'clock in the morning and ask that I do for you.
I should ask what her favorite food is. Uh, Oh, you don't mean any disrespect? I said, okay, it's kind of aggravating. Anyway, you had a question. What was it? No, it's no. I believe in. No, okay.
Stephanie's going to haunt her good now.
I definitely believe in psychics and some clairvoyancy. Oh, I definitely believe in psychics and empaths and remote viewers and stuff like that. Telekinesis is just it's if it was a way that people want it to be, there would be a lot more people dying on the planet. There would be a lot more changes in the way things went on the planet because telekinesis is a very powerful weapon.
Yeah.
So it's just, what do you mean? They got people that can block it? Maybe, but I don't know. That would be risky business there. Because then the person with the telekinesis might go after the person blocking it from the other
Aluminum
person.
foil.
I know. I don't know. I just haven't seen any proof of real telekinesis on the planet. Telepathy. I have to agree with the Navy and Air Force. I think it's less than 3 or 4%.
There are some people
of
who
population.
BS. That guy that used to like put a magnet in his hand, and then he would make the compass kind of move around by moving his hand around it. Theoretically, if you could practice telekinesis, you don't have to wave your hand for anything or your feet or nothing because it's a
No, you just
spiritual
got to think
energy.
about it. Yeah, you just got to think about it. And
Right. That's it. You just
it's,
sit there with your mouth closed and just think. But do you believe
actually,
that there's people who can release energy? Like, do you think there's people who can release energy in a room full of people and make them feel just uncomfortable or make them feel happy? Like, if you have that kind of energy and you put it out there and their little antennas start picking it up.
no. Actually, goes to Stephanie. If we weren't taught as children not to believe it or not to understand it, we would probably see it. So I think most people start out empathic and telepathic, and they can gradually move up from there. And the more you understand your abilities and the more you use them, the more likely you are to develop something like telekinesis because you're now learning how to use your abilities. If you're getting in people's heads and you're opening doors, because one thing I learned about dream weaving, I might not be able to kill somebody with the thing, but I sure can make them go batshit crazy in a heartbeat.
So if you read
Uh,
the Tibetan Book of the Dead, right, and there's also the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is very similar. There's a spiral of life, and they believe that within that spiral, I mean, you keep coming back. You come back for the next life. You come back for the next until you learn all these things. But there are ways of opting out of the spiral and getting out and moving on to the next level, and that's your own development, your own spiritual development. What kind of person? Like Stephanie had a lot of ill words for people, but she had a lot of sweet words, and she was a very loving person.
she
And
was,
she loved her animals, she loved the family, she loved people around her, and
was.
she also loved to cook. It's
Yeah,
loving.
she's a pretty good cook too.
Yeah, my mom also loved to cook and bake, but they didn't do it for themselves. They didn't do it for themselves to eat. They did it to share with other people. That's an act of kindness. That's a spiritual thing right there. It's not the tangible. Oh, here's food. We got to eat it.
Oh
What do
yeah,
you
I
want
used
to
to
do
talk
with it?
about when we were on air that she was an FT, and people were like, "What's an FT?" I said a food tease. And she's like, "What?" I said, she's like, "Amelia, always
That's
constantly
that's
showing what she's
Amelia.
good."
Amelia sends me
Oh,
pictures. Oh,
she's definitely an
I'm
FT.
about to buy
Amelia,
a drone and
definitely.
strap myself to it and fly up there to
I
Canada,
know.
man. I'm going to drop right in on them and eat some of that food.
Come in for lunch one afternoon. I know. But anyway, I know we got to go, guys. So coming up next is the Horsefly Chronicles with excuse me, Julia and Phil Syracuse. They'll be on in just a few minutes. Michael and I got to get out of here. Be sure to
Those are
come
the
catch Michael
Satanists.
tomorrow. Y'all can catch Laura Lee in about an hour. She'll be on the Angel Rock. She got a pretty good guest on. She said tonight. So,
Talking about the moon. That's cool.
and as far as whether you believe or you're not to believe, there's really nothing to believe in psychics or not. The military is after them, so you know they're real. It's just what is the real percentage of really good psychics on the planet, and does or does not everyone possess some type of ability? That's really the argument. But like I said earlier, when you look at the 7.2 billion, 7.5 billion people on the planet, at least 7.2 billion are idiots. They're constantly getting in wrecks, doing stupid shit, breaking stuff, just ignorant stuff that if you had any telepathic ability, you would not be doing. Uh, well, and you know what the sad part is? Even if they possessed it, because they were taught either by their religion or their family that it doesn't exist, they might just ignore it. So we don't even really know what the real percentage is because of things like that.
It's your feeling, man. But you know something. My psychic David, who was one of the best psychics I've ever met, said fate can change anything. So it really is not written in stone as far as he's
I
concerned.
agree.
It's not like there's a block universe and we have no choices. We can certainly make our own choices. So if you're in your daily, all it is daily survival for us, right? We live every day, try to stay out of pain, try to keep toxic people away from us, and try to have some kind of happiness, achieve contentedness or happiness. That's the most important thing, because those negative thoughts are going to create a negative reality around you.
They
You
are.
ever notice the people with the most problems always have them, and they never go away? No matter how much you try to help them, no matter what you do, you can't help them because they're on their own
And then
journey.
we have the drama queens of Earth.
Right.
So, did I say that out loud? Oh shit, I did. But anyway,
Drama
Michael and I
queens.
got to go. Y'all catch Michael tomorrow. Let me go get the Syracuse on now. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Any moans, groans,
Tomorrow,
bitches,
Discovery
gripes, or
Paranormal,
complaints?
dark
Right to
matter,
Amelia.
antimatter. I'm going to tell you all about it, and I'm going to link it up with a bunch of cool stuff. It's going to blow your minds.
Be sure to check it out. Oh, sorry, guys. We might just need a
Don't be
snack or
going into
something.
what I say.
I know. I'm sorry. What directed at you?
You're the owner of the station, man.
I
That's like
actually, yeah,
dying and
I know.
you see God and he yawns. Hey God. Oh, you again?
Actually, that's because I ate a big
All
fat
right, send me
porterhouse before
back.
we came online. Do we get offended
Send me
easily?
back, but I want pretty privilege this time,
Christy,
man.
to answer your question, I can tell you this: the overall majority of the hosts in this network don't get offended easily. There might be one or two that do, but for the most part, the majority of us don't. Do I get offended? Oh hell no! I'm always right. What the hell are you talking about? You can't offend me, man. Get the hell out of here.
How dare you say
Uh,
you offend him,
yeah, that's
dumbass?
right. I mean, come on.
I'm
Unless you
offended by
just
that.
smell funny, I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, we got to go. Thanks for everyone tuning in. We had a lot of fun tonight. When it comes down to this, any of this stuff, kind of listen to your heart on a lot of it. That's all I can
Yeah,
tell
wear
you.
your mask, get your vaccine.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
definitely wear your mask and get your vaccine because I don't want to. I got a lot of things. I plan on being in New York later this year. I plan on being out in Cali later this year. I'm planning on being in the heart of the country earlier this year. Do not get the shit locked down, people. Go take your damn shot. Put your
Joe and I
damn
will be in
mask on.
Cali at the same time. In fact, you
That's
got to
right.
come visit me when I'm
We
in
we
in
we are
Nevada.
planning on conquering the world. So y'all just watch out. On that
Yeah,
note,
man.
good night and stay tuned for the Horsefly Chronicles.
Bye.
Dun, 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 dun.